Hi there, my name is Dan DuPraw, or Mr. DuPraw for some of you, and I will be directing A Little Princess.
I'm CJ Pletcher, Mrs. Pletcher, and I will be the assistant director for Little Princess.
We are doing this video to talk about the show, because we realize a lot of people aren't really quite sure what's going on with A Little Princess. So, to start off...
Yeah, it's not your... When you hear A Little Princess, you think, oh, Disney princess, floof and fluff.
Little girls.
And pink dresses and lace and everything.
Yeah.
And that's not what the story's about. That it's
Yeah.
not a fairy tale. It's not another Beauty and the Beast. It's
Right.
different. Kind of like Annie meets...
The Secret Garden.
Yeah.
Kind of the darkness of the Secret Garden. The charmingness of Annie.
Yeah, and the hardness of her life meets the hope at the end.
Yeah. The author of A Little Princess is the same author as The Secret Garden, so if you know that story, they have some similar flavor. And one thing we've been thinking about is, why is this good for HPA to do? Why is this a good HPA show?
Mm-hmm. And as I thought of that, because you do tend to think, oh, you're a big musical, and oh, what can we do? And a lot of people kind of like, A Little Princess? Like, what's that? Mm-hmm. As we dug into it and were researching it, the opportunity for something unique and really different. Like, as actors, you look for those opportunities to play those non-traditional, those places where you can stretch and do something outside of what your everyday life is like, what you normally would do. To be able to step into a story like that, that also has the cultural differences of it, like I love that piece of it. I think that that gives our actors an opportunity to do something that maybe they haven't been able to do yet.
Another aspect of the show which we want to hit on is the idea of puppets. And this isn't going to be your classic, like, set up a puppet show with the curtains. It's going to be,
Bible school.
It's going to be an actor manipulating an animal that you see the actor, and they'll be dressed to kind of blend in, but they'll be manipulating this puppet. So when the monkey escapes into Sarah's room, we want the monkey to come alive and sit on Sarah's shoulder and look at her and think. And the monkey's actually going to be alive, and there's a rat. There's another doll character, which I don't think we've decided if we're going puppet or if we're going real-life person to play this doll. But
that's a unique opportunity, too. If you think, oh, okay, so the whole digging into this deep character isn't really my thing. But that might be a fit, too, that you haven't ever been able to express on our stages at HPA. Like, what a great thing to try and explore, too. But we also are looking into, like, possibilities of workshops of that, of people who have done things like this before, like coming in and teaching us. So that's another really unique thing of this. Like, I just want to encourage all of you, like, don't be scared of different.
But we wanted to talk about some of the characters. To start off with, Sarah is the little princess, between 10 and 14 years old, and she...
Is she really a princess?
She's not actually a princess in real life, in her real life. Her mother died, and her father is taking her to live and be taught at boarding school, I believe is what it's referred to in the script.
Yeah, and the head of that boarding school is Miss Minchin, who is actually what you would kind of think in a boarding school. Your traditional picture of what you think that would be like is pretty much how she behaves and runs the place. Not necessarily a place where a little princess would want to grow up and live.
Her father has a lot of money, so that's why he's sending her to the school. A lot of money, and he basically buys her anything she wants, until towards the end of Act 1, when Miss Minchin finds out that he is, in fact, dead. He dies from jungle fever in India, and they also realize or find out that he is totally bankrupt, which leaves Sarah in kind of a unique position going into Act 2, because she has no family, no money, and Miss Minchin is not able to take her in and just let her live as she did before.
Right, because before she was paying for everything, assuming that Captain Crew would be funding that for her. And now there's no money. So Miss Minchin takes a pretty sudden turn in how she decides Sarah should be living with her, and sticks her in an attic.
So Sarah spends a lot of Act 2 in the attic, talking to Becky, the other servant who she bonded with in Act 1.
And Becky comes up and visits her and feels bad for her that she's been put in this situation. So they've become close friends, and she sneaks in and talks with her and encourages her and spends time with her, and they develop a really strong friendship.
So what's unique about A Little Princess? What's cool about this? The script has given the opportunity to do things. One character in the show is the role of Emily, and that is actually Sarah's doll. Sarah's doll is played by a doll and a real person. A lot of stage time, a lot of the doll will dance. She comes alive at certain points in the show.
There's lots of even narration coming in and out of the story. Like, it's not just a play that you go see, but throughout the play and throughout this telling of the story, there's narration that is telling you, oh, this is what's going on, and this is what's going on. And those characters are really strong. There's a character, Ram Dass, and he is the main storyteller that carries the thread throughout the entire piece.
And he is where some of the magic comes in, because nothing happens unless he says it happens on stage. The scene doesn't change, the set doesn't change, he is there throughout the whole thing, just poof, making it happen.
Yeah, creating moments.
Another role would be the nurse, and the nurse plays a few different roles in the show. She walks in and in between narrating and being in the story. Then you'll see her play a role in the show, like the servant or the nurse or the bun woman. Has all these just little roles.
What also makes this unique is, even though we call it a drama, there's also really actually a lot of music. And that took me a little while to wrap my head around, like, okay, a drama with music, what does that mean? I think musical. But it's not. It's just interwoven to help create these moments that Ram Dass is setting into. But then also with the dancing of the doll, there's music with that. So you definitely are brought into it musically without there being song and dance numbers like a typical musical.
Right. There are some songs that are sung. My favorite part so far as we've been researching is the very opening of the show. It starts with a nightmare,
Why is that?
actually.
Why is it your favorite?
The first stage direction in the script is, let me read it to you.
Yes, let's read it.
Fog. So, you can see why I may love the show. But it starts in a nightmare, and there's this underscoring of like this disturbed music a little bit, and a bunch of little girls are crawling on the ground, kind of wailing, or not super loud, but then it gets more intense. So there's a lot of artistic open-endedness to the show, a lot of a range of what we can do with this and what the actors are going to be able to do with the characters, and we have about as much rehearsal time as a musical would have, and that is because of what we're planning on doing with this. It's going to be acting and digging into the characters, and we're going to be we're hoping for 3 or 4 good, strong guy roles that will be on stage a fair amount.
Yeah, a big part of the time.
And then, I mean, Miss Minchin, Miss Amelia, the nurse, a lot of girls, and you have Sarah and Becky, and then there's a fair amount of schoolgirls who have a decent amount of lines. Like, pretty much any role in this show is going to be a good role, but we're looking for a lot of strong people who want to attack this.
Yeah, so don't hesitate. Like, these scripts are online for perusal. Don't hesitate to really spend time reading it, and send us questions. Like, we are both open to that.
So, audition for the show. Hope you enjoy the video.
That'd be great!
Yeah.